Look who it is. Look who it is.
I'm up in it.
So Chris got in this morning. So we're obviously on the same computer screen, doing a little differently, a little countdown as opposed to our normal intro. There will be no fart noises. There will be no slurping. There will be no sledgehammer.
Well, I don't know about all that.
Yeah, we'll see. But no, so we're not using the soundboard. Obviously, we're sitting side by side, not from remote locations like we normally are. But excited to get this show going and on the eve. It is the eve, dude. How are you feeling now that you're on site? You've seen the grounds here.
Yeah, well, it's beautiful out here. I will say I was a little bit disappointed in the weather as soon as I got out here. It was pretty much like it was when I left Michigan at 4
a.m.
Yeah, 4 a.m. So got an early start on the day. But the sun's come out. Yeah, it's beautiful. The mountains, the cacti. It's it's very Arizona out here. I'm enjoying it so far.
Chris is, I think, mentioned testing out a new camera rig, and he was mowing down. I mean, dude, like
shooting birds,
like 500 shots in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
This thing's crazy. Yeah. But he was, shooting some birds right out the window of the room. I mean, neon green and blue birds, and then these little, I don't know, dude. It's Arizona.
Trees with oranges on it.
Yeah, it's Arizona.
It's gorgeous.
So we're having a good time. Dinner's getting ready to kick off here in about an hour for us. We made a little swing by the hospitality room. Just giving Chris a lay of the land after he has the FOMO subsided now that
it has subsided
now that you're here.
Yeah.
So obviously pretty good show today. Back to a normal-ish Friday show. We're not going to do like the big slate of national games. We'll talk about the 2 playoff games tomorrow, obviously. Do some of our you're dumb, you're smart. We'll do a little prediction stuff, some over-unders, and then we'll wrap it up. And the next time you hear from us, we'll see about a pregame show tomorrow. We are planning on getting to the game very early. Chris wants to kind of work his camera into shape. Obviously, it's new for both of us. Get on site and see what's going on. My credential as a media member in the booth actually allows me to go down to the field pregame, so we'll both be down there.
Yeah, and I think just soak it in.
Yeah, just take it all in.
Make sure you get to. I mean, these moments are so rare that we get to do this. Although it's been the last 2 years for me, I don't know how to cover a team that doesn't go to the playoffs.
Jim Harbaugh said it multiple times today when he was up on stage with Sonny Dykes, just like how rare of an opportunity this is. He's like, the vast majority of college football people don't get to do this.
Yeah.
And now, like you said, here we are 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Pretty special, but it's going to be cool. Just getting to the stadium. I mean, the first shuttle's going over there like 5 hours early, and we plan on being on that first shuttle.
Yes, sir.
And getting over there and just getting set up and kind of seeing what's going on. So we're excited about that. So I don't know about a pregame live show tomorrow. We'll see if we can work it in. 100% absolutely will have a post-game show once the game is over with. Hopefully we'll be talking about a Michigan victory, and we will, we'll see how that ends up playing.
Start making plans for
Natty,
national championship,
for the Natty in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
so that's going to be really cool, and hopefully that's kind of how it plays out. Speaking of Jim Harbaugh up on the stage with Sonny Dykes today, I don't know how much of it you watched, Chris. I knew you were en route traveling, and there's it's been posted, but it was 25 minutes long. I don't think you had a chance to sit down and watch the whole thing, but there were a lot of people in the comments when I posted it and just all around like social media. I saw that they said that Sonny Dykes' body language looked like we're going to get our ass kicked. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know how Sonny Dykes looks on a day-to-day basis, but there did seem to be a little bit of, he was kind of like turned away from Harbaugh. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't. Maybe we're reading a little bit too much into it.
Some body language experts on the case.
A little bit,
okay.
But I do feel like most people think, like we've talked about all week. I asked the question to a lot of players, a lot of coaches, that this seems to be a bad matchup for TCU. And I don't know. We haven't given our score prediction yet, but I think we're both in the same boat with feeling pretty good about Michigan's chances to advance.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like overconfident, not giving TCU enough credit. I'm not sure what it is. We've talked about it.
Haven't seen them play. I mean, like not very familiar with them except for that one game.
By the way, I'm just looking down at the soundboard and sex addiction is sticking out here. You can't see what I can see.
You addicted to sex?
I don't even know if you can hear that.
I'm not sure if you can hear it, but it is right there.
But yeah, I don't know if it's, I feel very confident about Michigan's chances, and I'm hoping that the game plays out the way that I assume it's going to play out. But I do think, TCU can be sneaky good. They obviously have some talent. They got a guy who finished number 2 in the Heisman Trophy voting for a reason. He's got 30 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. So he's efficient with the ball. He's tough as nails, do whatever it takes to win type guy. And they can present Michigan with a problem. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, overall, I feel we talk about it, whether it's the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. I just don't think there's a position where Michigan is deficient.
Yeah, no, we tried to come up with like what area are you most worried about, what's the weakest, and you're kind of grasping at straws if you try to come up with an actual weakness. Now they're better in certain areas than other. I mean, they're certainly a better running team than they are a passing team, but they can't not pass. It's just
looked like they were pretty good in
I know that's what I'm saying, and we've talked about that quite a bit now at this point, and now it's ready to just be here. I mean, Jim Harbaugh. He's so funny up at the podium, man. He just kept like little short answers, and he'd be like, "Sonny," and he'd just throw it back over to him, and then Sonny Dykes would give a pretty long-winded answer. I thought they were both good, and they told some really cool stories about being sons of coaches and just the football lifer type thing, and talked about how Sonny Dykes told a story about how his dad, who used to coach at Texas Tech, was getting ready to play Texas A&M against R.C. Slocum, a famous head coach, and he got back to his house like 1 o'clock in the morning after a high school game. This is back when Sonny Dykes was a youngster. And there was his dad drinking some booze with the coach that he was going to play the next day. So then he invited Jim Harbaugh to his room tonight to drink some brandy and kind of talk. But obviously that's
Harbaugh shot him down.
Harbaugh's like, I'm going to be in bed. I'll turn into a pumpkin at 9 o'clock.
I think where I'm at on all this stuff, like we've been talking about it so much.
Yeah.
Dude, this month off has been so.
Imagine for them. That's
so long,
exactly.
And the fact that the game is here tomorrow, I'm just ready to see it play out. Ready to see what Michigan looks like. And again, I feel like their brand of football, the way they play, how strong they are up front with the offensive line, the defensive front. I just think that it travels well, and I think you're going to see that pretty early on that Michigan is just physically better than TCU, and it's going to give them problems.
Yeah, and I've talked to some TCU people, and they kind of think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, they want badly for TCU to advance. I didn't realize this, man, but Sonny Dykes pointed this out today at the podium too. They were picked to finish 7th in the Big 12 and went undefeated through the regular season and lost a nail biter in the Big 12 championship after playing Kansas State for the second time. So, of course, dude, this has been like even a more magical ride than what Michigan had last year.
Yeah.
Michigan wasn't expected to do what they did, but they weren't picked 7th.
Right.
So they're kind of riding this high, and certainly they want the best for the team that they cover or that they cheer for. But I think when they really get down to like just facing the facts, they think Michigan's the better team. So we'll see how it looks on the field tomorrow. Dude, we're going to spend like 3 sentences on this. But Michigan basketball lost to CMU last night. Fire up chips. We were talking about it a little bit in the car today.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels like the trajectory in basketball right now is like in the dumps, dude.
Yeah.
And I know it's all football, obviously, but like just a quick mention and we'll move past it.
Yeah, I think I think it's a good thing for the basketball program that the football program is doing as well as it is, because as soon as football's over, Michigan fans are going to turn their attention. Some of them, a lot of them, are going to turn their attention to the basketball program and be scratching their head and asking, why are these guys as bad as they are? And I think for the most part, it hasn't been a big deal around Ann Arbor, generally to the fan base, because the football program is doing so well. But they have some issues to work out, and it's not just how they struggle on the court, but we talked about it a little bit earlier. It's it's Juwan Howard, it's his coaching style, and it's when things aren't working on the floor, and then you have some of this other stuff that surrounds you with some of the, emotional outbursts or some of the things like that. We love Juwan Howard, absolutely love him, but it's clear that things aren't working right now, and they're going to have to find a way to change it pretty quickly. I mean, you talk about a team missing the tournament. I mean, I don't even know if this is an NIT team.
I know they look bad. I mean, Central's not a good MAC team, and
no.
You lose a game like that. Yeah, you mentioned
at home.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the, the stuff Jawan's done that's, been a little bit dicey, not recruited extremely well in terms of putting a roster together. Like if you look at Jet Howard individually, Terrace Reed individually, Doug McDaniel individually, like they were ranked pretty high, but like it doesn't seem to be fitting together all that well. Not enough shooting. And then, the point guard position, a couple transfers, now Jalen Llewellyn's. It's just, I don't know, man. It just has kind of a bad vibe around it right now.
I was going to say, it's weird how different it is when you contrast that with the football team and the brotherhood and the camaraderie and the chemistry that seems to be happening in that program. And it took a while for Jim Harbaugh to get it to the point where it is now. Not sure that Juwan Howard would get the same luxury if things continue to trend in this direction, but it just goes to show that
he did win a Big Ten like right out of the gate, though. He's got a little leeway.
He did,
but
you can't, when anybody who's played basketball, you got to have guys that know how to work together.
Yeah.
You've got to have team chemistry, and that's really important. And it's clear right now that something is just off. And that's why that is all the time we're going to spend talking about.
I just thought it would be like if we completely ignored it, probably wouldn't be just. We did get a donation from CS, and I'm not making fun of you, CS. I'm making more fun of the allotment of time that we get. So he asks, any standouts in practice, any early enrollees really balling? I mean, dude, Benjamin Hall looked phenomenal doing sit-ups. He was really killing the stretch. No, like we didn't see anything. I mean, we're there literally. We watch them stretch. They go up and down the field a couple times, like, doing calisthenics, and then they do like a couple indie drills, and we're out of there.
They kick your ass out.
Yeah, the second they start to do anything that even really resembles like football, 11 on 11, we're gone. So I'd be lying to you if I said anybody was balling. Now, Benjamin Hall looked good on the hoof. I mean, the dude was absolutely put together. I mean, listed at 235. I'd be surprised if he wasn't 240 plus. And, then the other guys who were a little bit dinged up were back on the field yesterday, which was good to see. Mike Morris was very, very open about how he feels, back to 100%, where he wasn't even close to that for the Ohio State game in the Big Ten Championship. And he was out there running around looking good. That's about as much as we got. I mean, there just wasn't, in 15 minutes of watching them stretch and warm up, you just couldn't really get that much from it. Junior Colson dealing with a little bit of a shoulder issue. We saw that yesterday. Again, Chris and I have talked about this. We don't really dive into the injury thing too much, but when they open up practice and you're watching them and you hear George Hilo say, hey, Junior, sit this one out.
Yeah.
And he's got his shoulder wrapped up. I mean, it's right there. Like, we're not breaking anything that shouldn't be broken. Like, if they didn't want us to see that, they wouldn't have let us. So other than that, though, I mean, it looks like everybody's going to be good to go. I talked to Andrell very quickly after he didn't practice the first day, and he said, I'm good, precautionary. And then sure enough, the next day he's out there catching a 60-yard bomb from JJ. So, we'll see what it ends up looking like on the field. But to say that there were standouts or if anybody was we just didn't see enough. I mean, that's really all that comes down to. There were some clips that have leaked out, I think. Again, that long throw from JJ. I'm trying to think of what else has been out there, but it wasn't from the media because we were only there for a short period of time. Maybe some of those clips leaked from Michigan people themselves. So anyway, we got a couple segments.
We do.
You haven't called me dumb or smart in a while.
It's been a minute.
It's been a while.
And I don't know. I thought somebody might have asked. Yeah, I am working through a little bit of a voice issue here. Okay. I
went hard last night on some punk rock songs at the bar.
Yeah.
I thought the chords were going to be fried today, but I feel like they're pretty good. Maybe like a tiny frog.
Your boy's working through something here. I'm going to play through it.
We're going to power through it.
We're going
to power through it. All right, you're dumb, you're smart. We don't have the music, but you still get to say it to me, and I think it'll come out good. Here we go. Donovan Edwards, 150 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns.
Bold but smart.
Yeah.
Bold but smart. I think when we talked about it on the last podcast, I said I think he's going to have 2 runs.
Don't say frog. I said I got a little frog. Yeah, I'm eating that frog.
Well, if it's in your throat, it's fine, right? Yeah. Well, do we want to? Okay. Anyway. I said Donovan Edwards is going to have 2 runs of 50 yards or more. So that'll put him at 100 yards. That'll put him at 100 yards right there. And then I think he can get the next 50 pretty easy. And I think those 2 long runs are going to result in touchdowns. So I would say it is a bold call, but a smart call.
It also just feels like, man, every time, we saw Khalil Mullings, which was a surprise in the Big Ten championship game. But anytime Michigan gets down inside the 5, they're running it in. Yeah. So it's going to be a running back somewhere.
Whether it's JJ, Donovan, Khalil,
it's going to be a run. So you get to maybe 3 or 2 yards. That might be like Khalil Mullings territory, but maybe like 5, 6, 7 yards out. That's Donovan, I feel like, and maybe a long one. So I feel pretty good about that. A little bold. I mean, that's a very productive day, but he's been having those days.
No doubt.
And when it wasn't him, it was Blake Corum. So that's what Michigan's MO is. They've been doing it all year long. JJ McCarthy will score a touchdown through the air and on the ground. Passing touchdown and rushing touchdown for number 9.
I mean, it's hard to say dumb, but I'll call it dumb. I think he'll get some through the air, but I think the touchdowns on the ground are going to come from, the stable of backs that they have. We just listed it off, whether it's Donovan Edwards, whether it's Khalil Mullings, whether it's CJ Stokes. Yep. I mean, Tavi Dunlap. They've got a number of guys that can obviously power through when they get close in the red zone. So just for the sake of having the opportunity to call you dumb, I'm going to call that one dumb.
Fair enough. I mean, JJ scored a rushing touchdown against Ohio State Did he have one against
I
Purdue?
don't think he had one against Purdue.
So, they've been choosy about when to run him.
Yeah.
We're getting down towards the end where, what are you protecting him for at this point? You got a maximum of 2 games left.
Yeah. But we did talk about that a little bit. Your second option is
not good.
Now, given the way that Michigan plays football, we also talked about that if you've got to bring in an Alex Orji or an Alex Orji or a Davis Warren, that given the way Michigan plays offense, I mean, it seems like those guys would be able to operate just fine. But obviously, J.J. McCarthy brings a significant different element to the game in terms of his athleticism, ability to escape the pocket, get out and create on the fly. And so I think once you get to the national championship game, that's when you can sell out and you can basically, give up your body if you're JJ and do whatever it takes to win. But we talked about that this week, that if he goes down, Michigan's chances of winning a national championship, I think, take a pretty big hit.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, he's picked his spots. He is a runner. Like he's a plus athlete, but it's just been.
I would call him a true dual threat.
Dude, he's fast, man. He can really run the ball. He's a little slight. That's about the only thing is in terms of if you didn't want him to carry it 15 or 20, 10 or 15 times a game.
The only thing he's missing is dreadlocks. Okay. That's it. That's
Gold fronts.
Dreadlocks.
All right. This kind of goes in conjunction with the first two. I said Donovan would have 150, couple rushing scores. I think JJ might score on the ground. That's obviously some rushing yards.
Yep.
Michigan will rush for the most yards against TCU all season. So what I mean is TCU's highest point of rushing yards given up is 232. Michigan will eclipse 232 yards rushing tomorrow.
I'll say, again, bold but smart, because I think that's where Michigan's going to do a bulk of their damage. I think Michigan's offensive line, I think TCU's defensive front is just not equipped to handle what Michigan's going to bring from the offensive line. I think they're going to open up a lot of holes, and I think the running backs, again, whether it's Donovan, whether it's JJ, whether it's CJ, whoever it is, I think that Michigan is going to have a very, very productive day on the ground, and so I would say it's a pretty smart call.
That's what they want. That's what they want to do. They want to do that. They're going to commit to that. They've committed to it all year. The O-line. I just feel like
and it's going to be interesting because Sonny Dykes has said specifically
they're stopping it.
They want to stop.
That's what they
run,
want. Yes,
right? And we've seen how that's worked out for other teams before, notably Ryan Day and the good folks down in Columbus. Whenever somebody says, "Hey, our primary goal is to stop Michigan's run," I mean, even look at against Penn State. I think Penn State had the number 5 rushing defense in the country at the time when those two teams played, and Michigan ran all over them. And so, I think it's going to be more of the same on Saturday.
North of 400 yards against Penn State. 400,
yeah.
Can they get to 400?
Blake had 160 something, I think. Yeah. Donovan was 177.
Can they get to 400 against TCU?
Dude, if that defense that TCU runs, if they're
going to have to switch it up a lot.
They're going to have to do something.
I do think they're going to be really productive on the day. I wish I would have looked at. I thought of this as you were talking. How many times Michigan has gone over that number? It's been a lot of times. I don't know if it's been 8 or 9 times. I think they had 2 games under 200. That was Illinois, and just looked that up the other day. They had 2 games where they were under 200 yards rushing. Every other game they were over 200. So I would guess at least half or more of their games they went north of 232 yards. And TCU's rush defense is 65th in the country, dude. I mean, bottom half. It's not like they have this staunch rush defense. Right. They've given up, a pretty good chunk of yards every single week. And I think Michigan's going to be able to do whatever they want to do. The fourth one, go to the TCU side of things for a minute. The pterodactyl, Quentin Johnson, dude. I know you weren't here. Dude's impressive. Dude, it's impressive looks looking. Good. Yes, dude. He came out from behind his table at one point, was doing a stand-up interview.
Did he come flying into the presser from above?
Dude, the hood came down, the long dreads.
Oh God.
The big dangly gold cross earrings. Chris might have been kissing his shoes. but I mean, the dude's impressive. There's a reason why he's billed as a first or second round draft pick. He's 6'5", he runs 4.4 faster. He's a freak, dude. He's a problem. Quentin Johnson will have a catch of more than 40 yards tomorrow against Michigan. 40.
Interesting.
Could be after the catch. Doesn't mean it has to be 40 in the air. But on one reception, he will pick up at least 40 yards.
I'm going to say dumb.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to say dumb. And I think
the pterodactyl is being grounded.
The pterodactyl will be grounded. Okay. I just think, whether it's Will Johnson, DJ Turner, whoever it is they decide to put on him. I think obviously he's one of those key weapons that Michigan is fully aware of, and I think they're going to do everything they can do to keep him from from having himself a game. And so I'm going to say that's dumb. I think no, he's not going to have. If you had said 30, I might say no.
Yeah. Jim Harbaugh gave them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Gave Quentin Johnson a lot of credit. Gave their approach a lot of credit. Gave Max Duggan's accuracy a lot of credit. They do a lot of my guy or no guy throws. Right. Sideline, especially with a guy that big, that fast, can jump that well. Throw it up to a 50-50 ball, and Jim Harbaugh stopped and said it's not a 50-50 ball. With him, it's like a 70-30 ball. Yeah. They know, but to your point, they know that.
Right.
Try everything you can do to take them away, the old Bill Belichick approach, right? Like if they've got one thing, you can't let it beat you, then you're going to focus all your energy on that. I don't know if that's Quentin Johnson for Michigan or their run game has been pretty good. Duggan is an X factor. They've got some things, dude. Like that's why that's why they're here. I think he could get loose one time. I don't think he's going to go for like 220 and a couple of scores, but I think the way he's built, the way he plays, and the way they throw him the ball, I think he'll get one. I think he'll get one over 4. That's a big play. I mean, that is a big play. I'd be interested to see how many passes over 40 yards Michigan gave up this year. I bet it's not very many. I need to do better research because I'm finding like better questions than I actually come up with as I'm sitting here and we go through these. All right, last one. A little bit funny, but kind of like also in line with what we talked about and what Michigan needs to do to the quarterback. Max Duggan, ginger, soulless, battle, warrior. But I
can't be killed.
But Max Duggan, there's my you're dumb, you're smart. Max Duggan will bleed tomorrow. Is that dumb or is that smart? Remember the Kansas State game. Remember he's got blood running down his arm. He's like a different color because
he'll bleed a little bit. Okay. There'll be a little bit of blood.
He's like the Predator. It's like glowing green when it comes out. I'm being a little bit goofy, but we've talked about how important it is to rattle his cage.
I think they're going to rattle him.
Yeah, get in there, hit him a bunch of times. Natural grass, I don't know. Does that make you bleed easier or less than
I think
turf?
Less. I mean, you saw when JJ got out and was lead blocking for Blake Corum, and he took a dive and kind of scraped across his arm, and it took the skin off of his arm. I mean, that synthetic turf is no joke. So
more of like a burn though, like a rug burn on the synthetic stuff. But
definitely, I think the natural grass will help alleviate some of that. But yeah, I think Michigan is going to be focused on getting to him early and making sure that he doesn't get comfortable back there, because he's shown that when he is comfortable, he can make all the throws. He can hurt you with his legs. And if he gets comfortable, that's when Michigan's going to have some problems and the game could last long into the second half. And that's what you don't want. You don't want a full 4-quarter battle. You want to make sure that you kind of play what Michigan's done all year long, where it could be relatively close in the first half. Michigan goes in with a slight lead, and in the second half, you shut it down. You make the adjustments. Jesse Minter does what he does. The defense does what they do. And then, lo and behold, it's 40-something to 17.
Yeah, whatever it ends up being. I've got some of that coming up with over-unders. We want to give a couple words here to Mediascapes. We don't have our commercial from Richie here, so not going to do this many more. Well, I mean, we're still going to do the podcast and shout them out, but not 3 a week or 5 a week like we have been. So what are we saying about Mediascapes here as we come to the end of 2022?
I mean, they've been, from the very beginning, just, in terms of like once we got the RV and getting Rosie wrapped and ready and looking good for the road. I mean, you can see it right there. And then, Rich has been great, with the tailgates. I think he brought out like a cotton candy maker and a popcorn maker, and he's helping with apparel. And again, it's just one of those companies.
Couple dozen donuts one time too for everybody.
I mean, they're good people, so it starts there. It's a good group of people to work with, but it's also one of those places where if you run a business or you've got an idea, or you're trying to make something happen. I mean, Rich and Emily and that team over at Mediascapes, it's just a great place to start, because they pretty much do anything on the creative side. There's nothing that they don't do.
And I feel like if they haven't before, they'll try it. They'll give it a shot. They'll figure it out. They did a couple. I mean, they did some. They've done a lot of different design stuff with us with your apparel. I mean, like anything we kind of threw at them, they're like, yeah, we'll figure it out. And like you just kind of get that sense. So it's been awesome working with them. I mean, dude, every time we tucked Rosie in, I tucked her in a couple weeks ago. She's hibernating for the winter. And every time you see it, you just, I can't believe we brought that to life.
She's a beaut.
And Rich and the family over there. at Mediascape's a big reason why. So there's the website, as we usually put up there, mediascapeswithak.com, the phone number, the location. You didn't get to hear Rich's sultry voice that time, but you guys have heard it before. So
hey, it's Rich.
Hey, Rich here, everybody. So anyway, yeah, big shout out to Mediascapes and all that they've done for us throughout the course of the year. Over-unders?
Let's do it.
You want me to go first?
Oh, shit. I got to turn mine so you can't steal my
Chris was very – I don't – look.
It's like trying to cheat on a chest.
I don't know exactly what's coming right now, but he was very protective of these as we were figuring them out.
They're not that great.
I was looking at something outside, and I said, "Oh, interesting." And Chris is like, "Are you looking at my phone, dude? Are you looking at my shit?" I'm no, dude. Okay. So
I'll kick us off.
Okay, kick us off. You've been really anxious about this.
We talked a little bit about it already. Excuse me. TCU, especially with Max Duggan, Quentin Johnson, what they're able to do offensively, and then of course the challenge that's going to present to Michigan's defense. I'm curious. I've got TCU's first half points over under.
Wait.
Oh, you got to get the number in your mind.
Okay.
All right. First half points over under 13.5 for TCU.
I said 13 in my head, so I guess I'll take the under by half a point. I mean, I do think that there's the potential for TCU to get loose a little bit. We just talked about Quentin Johnson. The running game is solid. Duggan is a playmaker. He extends plays. He knows how to make throws on the run, and he can run himself. So there's a lot of potential for them to get loose a little bit, but I just don't think it's going to be consistent. I don't think it's going to be sustained, long drives. I think if they pop a play or two or three or whatever it is throughout the course of the game, that's how it will happen for them. But Michigan just doesn't allow that very often. So I'll say like 13 points in the first half. That's the number I came up with before you said your spread number, and so I guess it's under by just a tiny bit.
I am taking the over.
Okay.
Reluctantly, I'm taking the over, but I do think TCU's best shot is going to be in the first half, and I think that they are going to score some points in the first half. If they do go tempo, I think it'll give Michigan some fits, and I think, look,
fair.
Even if you've been practicing, you've still taken a month off from playing a game of football, and I think it's just going to take a minute to get your sea legs back a little bit. And so I think TCU will have at least 14 points in the first half. Okay,
there you go. So at least 14 in the first half. I just realized that this is almost exactly like my "you're dumb, you're smart" first question, but that's fine. We'll address it in a different way. But Donovan Edwards over under a touchdown and a half. 1.5 touchdowns for Donovan Edwards.
I'm going to take the over. Okay. Take the over for sure.
You've got your long runs that you think?
Yeah, the 2 long runs of 50-plus. I just think he's too much of a home run threat. The guy, he's shown that in big moments, and he even said that during the press conference. That's when he's at his best, is on the biggest stage, and, it doesn't get much better than the college or much bigger than the college football playoff semifinal. And I think he looks ready to go. He looks streamlined, maybe with a little bit of a smaller cast on the hand. He was out catching balls, and so he might be able to present a threat in the passing game. But that guy is, and with all due respect to Blake Corum, I mean, Blake Corum was a big reason why Michigan is in this position to begin with, because Donovan Edwards, quite frankly, couldn't play for a majority of the season with whatever injuries he was going through. But I think Donovan Edwards, now that he's been able to, solidify himself as the guy in the absence of Corum, he is everything that everybody thought he would be when he came to Michigan, and then some. And I just think he's a tough guy to stop. So yeah, I'll certainly take the over on 1.5.
He's so smooth, man.
Look at that beautiful sunset out there. You guys can't see that.
That's happening.
Maybe
we'll give a little turn here in a minute.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, fuck it, we'll do it now. Oh, baby.
You see that
out there? We had to switch away from the window because it got so bright for a little bit there that we were washed out.
The sun actually came out.
Yeah. I'm with you, dude. I mean, it's something as simple as going through the ropes. Yeah. I mean, dude, his feet are just he's just smooth. He's got quick feet, great balance, obviously the great long speed. Saw that against Ohio State. That's one of the fastest teams in the country, Ohio State.
Yeah.
And he put the pedal down and it was over. Erasing angles. Lathan Ransom still laying on about the 30-yard line, I think, dude. Just dusted everybody. I mean, he's special, man. He's special. I think he's going to find his way into the end zone a couple times.
So you're also taking the over.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yes, I am taking the over as well.
So this is a playoff for the first question. I asked about TCU in the first half points. I'm going to flip it over to now Michigan.
Okay.
And how many points they score in the first half. Now go through your mental gymnastics, get your number. I've got that set at 17.5 for Michigan in the first half.
17 is what 17, I think it's be like 17-13. Yeah, so
okay.
I guess that's slightly under as well. I mean, I think I'm with you a little bit. The sea legs thing, kind of feeling each other out. Two very different opponents, kind of figuring out, okay, this is what we saw on film for 3 weeks. Not exactly the same thing. I mean, like, they're not going to do exactly what they've been doing. You've got all this time to add a wrinkle here, add a wrinkle there. You know, this what we've been doing all season worked pretty good. That's not going to work against Michigan, and vice versa. Covering a big-time receiver, we used to do it this way. Let's switch up just a little bit to make things tougher on Quentin Johnson. But it's both ways, man. It's a chess match both ways, and I mean, 17-13 is a pretty respectable first half score.
Yeah,
but that's kind of how I see it going. A little feeling out early, couple scores late, field goal. Going to the lead, going with a small lead.
I'm going to take the over. I've got Michigan with 24 points at the end of the first half. I think that they're going to get in the end zone a few times. Jake Moody's going to get a field goal in, and I think once Michigan takes that lead into the half, we know what at least traditionally has happened in the second half with Michigan and that defense. So I'll take the over on 17.5.
The over slightly. All right, we know Michigan wants to run the ball. Not a secret. Everybody on the planet knows it. I mean, they've talked about it. You know, Jim Harbaugh, Sonny Dykes sitting up front today. Sonny said that Michigan's very good up front. That's why they win. Everybody knows. The J.J. McCarthy factor has always been the X factor. How much is he going to throw it? What kind of throws are they going to be? How effective is the passing game going to be? So I'm going to set the over-under for J.J. McCarthy completions at 19.5. Against a TCU team that can score quickly, sometimes 19.5 completions. It sounds like such a big number for Michigan, but it's not a big number.
It's not a big number. I am going to take the under, but only slightly. I mean, I could see it being right at 19. I think, look, TCU obviously wants to take away the run. Michigan wants to run, and I think Michigan's going to be able to do whatever they want to do, and so that's going to equate to more rushes. And so I could see JJ being right around that 17, 18, 19 completion mark. So give me the under, but only slightly.
I'm right there. Same thing. I'm like 17-24 type of day at the 18-24, something like that. I think he's going to be efficient. I think he'll do well. I think he might hit a couple long ones, but yeah, I'm with you. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, Brad Galley.
You got a smell that? Guest appearance here.
It smells like a blowout.
Is that what you think?
Should we get the score prediction right now from Brad Galley?
Oh, come on.
You can't say that. You can't say blowout and then not give us numbers.
I think midway through the third quarter, we're looking at Donovan on the sideline comfortably
wow. Okay.
Maybe. So that lopsided.
Real comfy.
All the TCU fans screen record this and put it in mentions.
Brad Galley stopping by for a moment. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's another cool thing about being out here, man. I mean, the people that you see on the beat. For Chris, it's been a couple of years. For me, I'm going on a decade, man, seeing some of these people at the same thing.
You're an old
I know, dude. I know. And, guys like Brad, I mean, other guys from competitor sites that don't talk to each other, which is always kind of weird. But, I don't know. Everybody's around here, and you end up making some friends. You go out with people at night. I mean, obviously, tomorrow's New Year's Eve. Last night was the big media party. It's a pretty cool vibe around here. And then you throw that into where we're at in this location, this resort, it's pretty sweet. So that was cool, Brad. Brad's a good dude, man.
Let's stick with the quarterbacks. You asked about J.J. McCarthy. I'm going to ask about Max Duggan at this point.
Okay.
And I mentioned it earlier in the show. He's thrown 30 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. We know that the Michigan secondary, I think they've got 13 interceptions on the season.
Okay. Sounds about right.
So I'm going to put the over-under on interceptions by Max Duggan at a half.
Okay.
At a half. He's got 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's very efficient with the ball. Does Michigan pick him off tomorrow?
I don't think so. I'm going to say under, dude. I think you're 4.
No,
they played 13 games, and he's thrown 4. And he throws it quite a bit. They throw it quite a bit. I mean, he's probably got 50. I don't know the exact number, but I know how much he's played. He's probably got in the ballpark for 50 starts.
Yep.
Veteran guy, crafty, not going to make a mistake. He knows he can't make a mistake. Like that, Michigan doesn't give you a lot of possessions because they eat clock and they run the ball. He knows. It's been drilled into his head all month. Don't give them the ball back. Whatever you do, we've got to make our possessions count. He's a good player, dude. I mean, second in the Heisman voting, man. I mean, this isn't like a run-of-the-mill quarterback. Like, I think he's gonna play well, and I think he's gonna take care of the ball. I'll say under.
I think you make some good points, but he hasn't seen a defense like what he's going to see tomorrow. And I think there is going to come a situation where he is going to have to force
He could press a little bit.
He's going to have to force the issue to keep TCU in it. And for that reason, I'm going to put it at over at a half. Now, I don't know if it's 1 or 2, but I do think he throws an interception.
So that would he throw every third game as the pace.
Essentially, yeah. He's on track for it.
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe it's been 2 or 3 since he's thrown one. He's due. That's what I was working towards. I don't know when it was he threw his last one. I don't know. Did he throw one against Kansas State in the Big 12 championship? I can't remember. We watched that game. All right. So we talked about Mike Morris earlier, man. He said he's 100%. He cannot wait to get back out there and feel good about playing football again. Mike Morris over under half a sack on Max Duggan.
Over.
Yeah.
Dude's hungry. He wasn't really able to be effective against Ohio State.
He did throw a pick against Kansas State. There you go. He's not due.
Nah, he's due.
Right.
He's definitely due.
Okay.
Definitely due. What was the question?
Mike Morris, half a sack.
I'm going to take the over.
Right.
I think the guy, you could just sense it in the, all the media stuff leading up to it. He's hungry. He's ready to play this month off. I mean, I think for some guys, they would have preferred to get right on the field right away. For a guy like Mike Morris, he needed this month to get his body right. And it sounds like he's ready to play at 100%. So I'm going to take the over, man. I think he's going to be aggressive. I think he's going to be a big problem tomorrow. Take the over on a half sack.
I'll take the over as well. Watching him. So again, we didn't see a lot of practice, but they were working on some pretty simple stuff. The edges were going through some practice twists and stunts, and then bending around the corner. He's so big, and dude, his arms are so long, and I just like you said, he's hungry. He hasn't been able to give it his all for 2 months almost. I mean, going back to, I think he got leg whipped in the Illinois game, and
or no, was it?
No, he was out for the Illinois game. It
was earlier than that.
He came. He was dressed, but hobbling out of the locker room really bad, and I don't think he played at all.
It was against Michigan State. It was like the first.
So he's been dinged up and out for a while now. He says he's back to 100%. Obviously, the biggest stage of the year. A quarterback that they know they've got to get to. They've got to put him on the ground.
Yep.
He's going to be motivated. I think he gets home at least once. I'll set it at a half.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got himself 2 of them tomorrow. But right. I'll say over for sure.
So for guys like CJ out there who typically count, we are now approaching 38 minutes in the show. I'm doing it.
I'm
doing it. There was a question whether or not he was going to play. We saw that he wasn't wearing shoulder pads in the first open practice, and then the second open practice, he's catching dimes from JJ McCarthy, looking like everything you would expect out of a guy that looks like that.
Laughing.
Here we go. I got Andrell Anthony receptions set at 2.5
under. Dude, he's got 7 on the year. I love the kid. I talked to him yesterday. He sat down with us and did that interview way back in February.
Yep.
Look, these guys aren't our friends, but
they're my friends.
You think so? You do kind of
you root for him.
There's no question, dude, and he's an awesome kid. I sat down and talked to him yesterday. I'm gonna try to get this out tonight. It's gonna take some time to get through the 15 video clips, but it was Chris's idea. Go to every player, ask what the one single strength of this team is, because we had a hard time coming up with just one in both directions. What's the one weakness? What's the one strength? If you could only pick one, there's a lot. Anyway, I spent 5 minutes talking to Andrell, man. And I'm just like, God, this kid only had 7 catches. Why? I just want him to be so much more involved and successful, because we saw a flash in the pan moment with him against Michigan State where he looked like the best receiver on the team as a true freshman, and it just hasn't materialized as a sophomore. So unfortunately, I'm going to take the under.
Listen,
I would love for him to have 12 grabs tomorrow, dude, but I don't see it.
Based on law of averages, at some point in time, damn it, it's going to have to happen. And so I'm just going to take the over, because I've
blind squirrel nut theory.
I'll go down with the ship. Yes, exactly. At some point in time, it's going to happen.
Okay.
We even saw it last year in the college football playoff semifinal against Georgia. He had a big touchdown catch from JJ McCarthy late in that game. Obviously things don't look the way that we thought they were going to look this year, but if he's healthy and he's able to go and he's on the field, give me the over. 2.5 is 3 receptions is not a lot for a guy like that. No,
it's not.
Give me the over. I'm not confident in it, but I'm still taking it.
You're just throwing money away. If this was a real bet, if you had to put real money on it, would you?
It depends on how much money I'm putting on it. But yeah, I'd throw some money.
$250. $250 on Andrew Anthony to have 3 catches tomorrow.
I'm feeling a little frisky. I might
Wow.
do it. I might do
guy. Can't even get him to make a FanDuel account. He's throwing $250 on Andrell. Alan Rader, I appreciate the donation, man. Have a blast. Go Blue. We are doing that.
Listen, kick Vince's ass out of here for saying that right there. Get him out of here. That is the most. I'm going to say it. That's egregious. It's offensive, and I think you should be kicked out indefinitely.
Well, Vince,
you watch it, Vince.
You bite your tongue.
You bite your damn tongue.
All right. This one's interesting. I don't think I've done a question like this one before. I'm curious to see what you think, Chris. Non-Donovan Edwards running back snaps. Okay, that's kind of a mouthful.
Yep.
I mean, Blake Corum's out. Donovan's the guy, the Don. Everybody's calling him that, obviously. Huge plays, Ohio State, Purdue, whatever. How many snaps will other running backs be on the field? I have the over-under set at 13.5. So you've got Tavi, you've got Khalil Mullings goal line, you've got CJ Stokes.
First, it came to mind. Well, if you listen to Brad Galley, it's going to be hammer the over. I'm going to take the under. My mind immediately went to 12, so I'll stick with the
Kirby
under.
just threw a dozen.
There you go, 12.
I'm with you. I don't think it's going to be very much. It's spot duty. That's what it is. Donovan, he's not taking himself out of the game for a blow. He's not wired that way. If he's got air in his lungs, dude, he's on the field. He can pass pro. He can catch the ball. I know he's dealing with the hand, but
I mean that obviously the big determining factor there is what does the scoreboard look like?
For sure.
How is Michigan?
If he gets comfortable, get him out of there because he's still a little bit dinged up, and you don't have to worry about it. But I'll take the under too. I think it could be close. If it's if it ends up being 15 snaps for the other backs. Isaiah Gash has gotten in there throughout the course of the year when the game's out of hand. So they do have other guys they like to get in there, but I'll take the under as well, but just by a little bit. I think it's going to be a big Donovan Edwards day. He's going to play a lot.
What are these kids wearing out here? It's like 45 degrees.
Oh, well, whatever.
The old man's coming out
at
me again. All right, Brandon.
Chris is yelling at people for driving too fast.
Driving too fast through the parking lots around here. I mean, I live in a subdivision, so I'm used to yelling at people for speeding. If you're a neighbor that happens to be watching in here, you know that I will come yell at you if you speed through the subdivision. Brandon's had to hear it a couple times. All right. Brandon,
from in the car while I'm
from
driving
within the car, had to get in his ass.
Slow down.
Brandon, you saw me messing around. Shout out to the folks over at the Camera Mall in Ann Arbor. They hooked me up with the Z9 camera, which is just, this thing is a hog. It's a beast. You saw it's 120 frames per second this camera takes. And so I was out mowing some things down. I've got the over-under on photos I take
This is the one you were laughing
about. The over-under on photos I take tomorrow. Now, normally I'm around the 2,000 to 3,000 photo mark per game. So I've taken well over 20,000 photos this season. Over under 23,500.5 for the college football.
Fucking over, dude. Chris stood, by the way, in his underwear, stood at the door of the hotel today, and was, I don't know, shooting birds.
I had to have Brandon, full disclosure, I had to have Brandon come out and throw some rocks at some birds.
To try to get him to be airborne.
Right.
I'm not exaggerating. I do a lot of embellishing for storytelling purposes. He would hold the button down for he shows me 181 shots. I mean, it's insane how this camera operates. I'm super pumped to see what he's got. He's got a big fat. Well, you've had the lens for a while now, but in conjunction with this camera, never before. I'm pumped to see what Chris can get out of it. He always takes a ton of sweet shots. So I feel for you because you're gonna have 30,000 shots to go through after the game. But
hopefully, it's 30,000 really, really good shots. And what that means is, really good content for you guys and some cool shit that we're able to put out. But yeah, man, that thing can mow down some photos. This
camera is, and Chris was telling me about it, and then I watched him use it for a minute, so I'd read a couple reviews, and I dabble in photography too, so I'm into that kind of stuff. And I mean, dude, it's the Mercedes of the camera world right now.
See, you can see my wife in the comments. I was making her spin around in circles
in
the living room just to test out how clear it was.
There you go. So absolutely looking forward to whatever Chris comes up with. Where's the light up microphone? Well, I
had to leave that at home.
Thank you, Alan, for the concern.
I had to borrow that from my son for that show. Was having some audio issues. I'll have to talk to Rich from Mediascapes about that. I'm not sure why that continues to happen. But yeah, had to leave the colorful microphone at home, unfortunately.
So we're just going off the old laptop microphone. Hopefully
Looks
it
great.
sounds okay. I mean,
Great.
we're in a big open space here, so it should sound okay. Shouldn't be a lot of echo or anything. But so we talked about the first half scoring, Chris, and what's going to potentially go on. Little feeling out session, trying to figure out who's doing what. Different teams, different approaches that they haven't seen before. What about the second half? Jesse Minter, the wizard, dude, getting accused of cheating. They've been so damn good in the second
cameras.
half. TCU points scored in the second half, over under 10.5. 10.5 in the second half for the Horned Frogs.
Give me the under.
Wow.
Give me the under. I mean, I could see it being right at 10. I could see it being 3. I could see it being a shutout.
They've done it
in the second half. I mean, if you look at that stretch, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there was literally a stretch where Michigan gave up it was like 100 and something to 0 for like 6 weeks. It was
something.
wild.
Yeah.
It was wild. And so, yeah, of course, Jesse Minter is cheating. I don't know what he's doing, but keep doing it, Jesse.
Right,
we
right,
appreciate it on our side. But I'll take the under on 10.5. And that was what the number was.
10.5.
10.5.
Yep.
I just think they're so good at making adjustments. And, by that point, you've heard the Michigan defense talk about how important it is for them to demoralize the opposing offense. And I think they're going to do that. And I think as it gets further and further into the second half and TCU continues to struggle, I could see it being a 3-point. I could see it being a shutout. But I think if TCU wants to have any shot at all at winning tomorrow, they have to score 95% of their points in the first half, and they got to score a lot of them. And I just don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah, I would take the. I see 10, so that's why I said it at 10.5. I think they'll be lucky to get 10. I don't think it'll be any more than that, so I'll take the under by a little bit, and would not be surprised if it was just as touchdown or just one score, touchdown or field goal. It's what they've done all year. I mean, like at some point you start to think like, they're not going to do it. They are. They are going to do it again. That's what they do. The running.
How many points did they give up to Ohio State in the second half?
It was 28-0.
Was it?
Oh, 3.
They
Okay,
gave up 3.
They did get a late
3.
field goal. Okay, 28-3 in the second half for the 22
and
point
they
win.
did that on the road in Columbus in a difficult environment. And so
and let's be honest, against a better team. Ohio State's better than TCU. I'm sorry, they are. If you put those two on the field right now, everybody would pick Ohio State to beat that team. So
there's no doubt.
I think. Dude, Minter, he's a G, man. He's
pay him.
He's a real good. He's a good coach.
We know Jim Harbaugh's watching. Pay him.
Yeah.
Same thing with Ben Herbert. Yeah. Pay that man. Sharon Moore. Pay him. Pay them all.
Keep them all.
Keep them all.
Dude, Harbaugh went back to the Sharon Moore as the second coming of Christ. Well, again, dude, he was just all like he's trying to get rid of him, or he's laying the foundation for him to be the next guy, so that people will be happy with it.
Maybe
he's just. He's very complimentary of all of his guys, but I feel like it's another level with Sharon Moore.
Yeah, well, he's kind of that way with Ben Herbert too. I mean,
there's a couple. Yeah,
Ben Herbert is the X factor and one of the most important guys, and but I think that's a testament to the staff that he's built. I mean, he's finally got. When you look at the staff, the roster, the way that they play, the way they perform, this is what every Michigan football fan hoped for when Jim Harbaugh was hired back in 2014 before he even arrived on campus. This is what everybody thought Michigan football was going to be. I've said it before. It obviously took longer to get here than most of us, all of us would have hoped. But I can tell you that being here is really, really fun and certainly not taking it for granted. Like I said, I've been covering the program now for 2 years professionally, and all I know is going to Big Ten championships in the college football playoff. I don't know how to cover
I just figured it out.
Season.
You're the same class as Andrell.
Maybe that's what it is.
That's why you love him. Your classmates.
Same class. That's what it is.
That is.
Same class.
I just was thinking about
got a few years on him.
Well, right. I was just thinking about the quotes where JJ was like, all we know is beating Ohio State. That's what you just said.
That's all I know.
That's amazing. There it is. We just had an epiphany right there, a breakthrough on why Chris thinks Andrell will have 12 catches for $181 and 2 touchdowns.
Well, I don't know about 12.
All right.
But I'll take the over on 2.5.
Do you have one more or were you done?
That was it.
All right. So we got one more section here. It's the prediction time. We're going to talk about the score of the game a little bit first on Georgia and Ohio State.
Ooh.
Georgia, number 1. Ohio State, number 4. It's the nightcap. They got the 8 o'clock game back home. 6 o'clock. No. 6 o'clock out here? 2 and 6. Yes. 8 o'clock back in Michigan, 6 o'clock here in Arizona. Georgia's favored by 6.5.
I saw that.
It's a decent number against a really good team in Ohio State.
And I'm hammering the over.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's where I was. I didn't have to ask. Okay, so you think Georgia's running away with it?
I do. I just, and I said this, I think maybe even before the season started, that Ohio State just isn't the Ohio State of the Urban Meyer era.
That's fair.
And they've proven, and again, they're going to have to prove everybody wrong. But to me, they're a little bit overrated. They're quite soft. And if they get slapped in the mouth, they don't really respond all that well. And so I think Georgia's going to run away with it. And I would certainly take the over.
Georgia has a tendency of slapping people in the mouth.
They sure do.
And that's
and Ohio State has a tendency to fold.
That's an Ohio State kryptonite thing. I think the number is – I mean, Michigan beat them by 22, dude, in their house.
Yeah. Neutral
field, Ohio State, Georgia's beating them by more than 7 points. Yep. Yeah. Give me the dogs to cover. And I mean, I can even remove my dislike for Ohio State and still think that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where
my hatred for Ohio State is not playing into that.
No,
you watch the way that Michigan was able to slap them around. And I mean, I'm not going to say, would you say that Georgia's better than Michigan right now?
I think you could say that and be fine with it.
Right. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I mean, if Michigan was able to do what they were able to do in Columbus, I just think Georgia, I think it's going to get.
Well, the final 2 teams for the Joe Moore Award, Michigan and Georgia.
There you go.
I mean, they're built similarly. I'd give Michigan the edge. Obviously, they did win the award. They run it a little bit better. I think Georgia passes it a little bit better. So they're a really good team, man. That's why they're number 1 again. That's why they're the defending champs. I mean, they're supposed to win this game, hence the number, and I think they will cover that 6.5. Number 2 versus number 3, dude. TCU, Michigan. Wolverines favored by 7.5 as of 5:52 p.m. Arizona time.
Not enough.
I don't think so either.
No.
I think it's going to get into the 20s.
Yeah.
Brad Galley thinks Donovan Edwards doesn't even need to play in the second half. Apparently, I don't know if I'd go that far, but
let's just say there's a lot of confidence on the Michigan side. A lot of confidence.
There is, and people in the building think that what's taken typically 2 quarters to 2.5 to even 3 quarters for Michigan to lean on a team and do that sumo thing I've talked about is going to happen earlier. That 3-3-5, they just haven't seen it. They haven't defended it. They don't know. They just haven't. They haven't felt it. They have not felt it the way that Michigan can deal it out, and people in that building are confident. They're giving a lot of respect to TCU and to Duggan and the big playability, but when they have the ball, they truly think that they're going to be able to do whatever they want with it.
No doubt.
And that's big for the confidence, and that's really big for the lack of confidence for the dude. It's so demoralizing when a defense they just can't stop what the other team is doing. That's exactly what happened against Ohio State 2 years in a row, and you saw the outcome, and I think it's going to be similar. So I would take Michigan in the points as well.
Yeah. Are we doing our score prediction here?
Yeah, we are. If you've got it ready.
Well, I mean, what's the spread? 7.5?
7.5.
I've got Michigan winning by 31.
Holy
I've got the final
balls.
score, Michigan 48, TCU 17.
Okay.
And I think most of TCU's points, 14 in the first half. They get 3 in the second half. That's how they get to 17. Michigan runs away with it. Another dominant win, and then we sit back and we drink on New Year's Eve and we watch and see who the opponent's going to be. And again, I hate Ohio State, obviously, but I am praying that the Buckeyes can pull it out. I know that we just talked about what we think is going to happen, but I'm praying that Ohio State can get past Georgia, because to me, a Michigan-Ohio State national championship game is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's too good to pass up, and to be this close to it, I'm not going to say I'm pulling for the – I almost just said I'm pulling for the Buckeyes. I'm not going to say that, but I want to see –
Chris was like,
I want to see Michigan
What's the thing the Fonz does where he can't? Fonz from Happy Days. He can't say something. He says I don't know. That's what Chris just did when he was about to say he was pulling.
That's before my time.
Some other old soul in the comments will tell me what it is that the Fonz can't say.
I want a Michigan Ohio State. Maybe it's sorry. I struggle with that. I want a Michigan-Ohio State rematch in the Natty. I've said it before.
Wrong. Uncle Mike.
There it is. There we go. We knew an old head would come through.
Oh, man.
That he's wrong.
Yeah, that he's wrong. Yeah, okay, that's what it is. So anyway, I'm laughing. My eyes are watering. I said that I think I said TCU would get 13-10. first and second half. I've got 42-23. That's a 19-point win in the semifinal game. It covers the spread by 3 times over almost. Not quite as dominant as a 31-point win, but I mean, dude, when you're beating the playoff team by 3 scores, which I think is what's going to happen.
Either way you cut it, it's dominant.
Yeah,
it's another dominant win
for
see. Michigan.
And then we're hooping it up in Scotty tomorrow and hopefully making it back on time on Sunday for the flight.
I got a bit of an earlier flight, so I got to be careful.
Yeah, my flight's at noon, and then I got just a small 5-hour layover in Vegas.
5-hour layover. That doesn't really give you enough time to.
I'm not gonna go out and do all that, but I'll get a little dumb in the airport. I think I'll figure something out.
There's plenty of slots.
Degenerate here. All right, there you have it, everybody. We hit about just under an hour. We missed a couple sections this time around. What was it, Chris? Oh, Big Ten, big game. Big Ten, big lame. Obviously, we don't have that going on right now. We didn't want to go through all the gamut of bowl games that's going on. I honestly haven't even paid that much attention.
Yeah.
Being out here this whole week, I've watched like a half of football.
Yeah.
And then obviously the place your bet, same thing. It was just a 2-gamer for tomorrow, the 2 playoff games, and then we'll focus on what happens after the fact. So the next time that you see us, maybe before the game. It probably won't be like a StreamYard, Facebook, Twitter,
right.
YouTube all at once. Maybe we'll go live from the field just on Facebook or just on YouTube or something and give you guys a little glimpse of what we're doing. But 100% will be back for the post-game win or lose. And we'll talk about what comes after that. Hopefully it's a win. Hopefully we're talking about LA, SoFi Stadium, and everything that comes with it in the first week of January.
Looks so damn
it's going to be so much fun if we get to go, man. I'm looking forward to it. So thank you guys so much, especially the ones who donated. And we will be back on tomorrow at some point, if not before the game, definitely after. Go Blue. I don't really say that very often, but it feels right. See you guys.